done for the term, y'all. I have a week off going to Portland, and then
Oh,
I
yeah.
start to Habitable Worlds. Man,
That's gonna be so fun.
this shit was nuts. I've said this before. I've already burnt out this year just because I didn't realize accelerated courses are like, so I took 2. So it's
Yeah.
like being in 4. Plus a career. I was dying, girl. Had breakdowns and shit.
Oh, shit, really?
Well, just like
It's 8
questioning
weeks.
my life. I
Oh,
had like about
yeah.
7. And I have an
Okay.
A in both of them, so that's the other problem is because of like high achiever bullshit. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
and like all these other projects going on, so just felt kind of burnt out. Like questioning my life, questioning grinding.
Yeah.
Like why do we do
Yeah.
this? So when I finished Sapiens a while ago now, but this part that really stood out to me is like he was talking about back when we were like nomad people. And like, the assumption is the villagers, or not even a village, we're not villagers, we're
No.
tribes moving around. People would go out, do a little hunting, come back. Maybe someone gets killed by a tiger.
Maybe.
Which I love that line. It was so funny. But then they'd come back and just like hang out with each other and tell stories.
Yeah.
There was no mentality. Yeah, survival,
Yeah.
100%. But like community, we're not grinding ourselves to death because of money. I'm just like, man, that just sounds kind of nice. So I was going through all those
'cause
thoughts.
You're doing the school thing because, I mean, CYA, sure, but like,
Yeah. No, it is my choice.
yeah, you like
I
that
don't have
stuff
to.
too.
It's just like
There's no pressure really.
No,
unless there is. I don't know.
no, there really isn't. Minus your own innate, like, well, my Indian parents would be disappointed, and
Do they
don't
know?
Yeah, and not like, and they don't
Okay.
really care because it's like great
Because you're over
okay.
21,
Yeah,
and at this
I'm
point, it's like
I have a career, and like you're just doing this for yourself. But it's like I can't help but not try my best and get an A. So
I get
and so
that.
that's the other thing. Which like people tell me when you graduate, no one's gonna be like, let me see your grades. They'll be like, oh cool, you got a degree in this, as in like friends.
Yeah.
And because I'm not like this is gonna lead me to a job in that world because that's not what I want it for. It's just
Right.
my own.
Also, you're kind of
ego.
already in it, so
Yeah, right. So
Right,
now I
like-
just have a little more panning to
Yeah.
be like, oh, the degree. So yeah, not gonna ever do 2 courses at the same time again. At
It is
least until
brutal.
my writing projects slow down, because just man, it's just too much. I was thinking too,
Yeah.
like last year, I'd be like, all right, wake up, work out. Like the few times a week that I do, hair wash, do social media, and I'm like, all right, I did my one thing for the day.
That's so, oh my God, it's so much. Dude,
Right?
just like, I can't believe you wake up and work out. That's bonkers.
Yeah, I like to kind of get it done with. But my gym is in my building, girl. So like,
No,
it's
I know.
convenient.
Your gym freaks me out because like
It's a
people
lot.
watching me.
Yeah, as
work
you're
out,
walking
I
by.
hate that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, why
yeah,
don't
yeah,
they tint these windows?
Honestly, in like a luxury building too, your gym should be
Yeah.
higher up because then it's weird. Like yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
And because of like what you're next to, it's like there's
Yeah.
tourists here.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
Walking by all the time. And then like sometimes I'll do a little bit of walking in the evenings if I feel like it. And like I'll just walk. But then like it's even creepier because it's dark out and I'm like, don't look at me.
I actually only work out at night. I
Gotcha.
can only work out at night. Like
Really?
it has to be like 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Which is a habit from like long years
Yeah,
of.
it's just habits.
It's just yeah.
Exactly.
Like me waking up to work out, I'd immediately go back to bed.
Yeah.
I'd be like, and my day's
and
done.
I do have a little bit of an
Done.
afternoon crash.
I'm
That's
out.
siesta stuff, but I push through. And once you push through, you're okay. So next term, Habitable Worlds. Hopefully
so
it'll be
sick.
fun.
That's
And
so
then-
fun. Dude, my
Yeah.
classes sucked. It was like differentials and
I'll have
multivariable, and you're like,
Oh God!
Yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't
like I'll
fun.
get into the physics and shit at some point. Like actual
pray for
having
you.
to take physics classes, but like I'm knocking out certain things because I haven't done math in so long. I have to take a placement test.
You're
To
not
be
missing
fair, I have no
anything.
idea where I'm
You-
going to even
oh,
place.
you did?
Yeah, I'm going to have to. Inevitably,
Oh,
I will.
It's usually just like to see if you can test out a Calc 1.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
They're not going to make you do anything past that.
Yeah, right.
I love
Exactly.
stats though. Like I actually wouldn't mind if I had to take it again, which would be my 5th time, I think.
Really?
They make you retake every
Yeah.
new because there's a difference between physics stats and math
Yeah.
stats and business stats and medical
Yeah,
stats.
totally.
And everybody has to take stats.
Yeah.
So every time I've switched my major, I've had to take a new stats course.
Well, did you have to put it into Excel? Because we did stats
Yeah.
and bio and then
yeah.
had to translate all that shit into Excel, which
Yeah.
I'd never done it before, but I kind of liked it. It was satisfying.
if you're a math major, possibly physics, I don't know, but you mostly do modeling.
Yeah.
You just have to design all the models. So it's like programming plus math knowledge plus Excel. I mean, I was just like,
Yeah.
why did I do this? And honestly, like one of the reasons why I did it is because of ego. Because,
Sure.
and I have noticed like this happened to me when I was going into Canada a few months ago. I was so I was flying into Calgary, and you know when you have to go up to Border Patrol and there's like a whole row of them and everybody's waiting in line, and it's like chaos. There was a guard standing right there in the middle of it.
Okay.
And my eyes are like locked on Border Patrol because I'm like, oh, which one am I? Because you're bored and you're tired. You're like, which one am I going to go to? And
It's a little game.
And this guard, she looks at me and she goes, what are you doing here? And I was like tired and like, you've been traveling and you're kind of thrown off. And I was like, what? and she was like, she's verbatim said, what are you doing in my country?
Whoa.
And I was like, what? Because I mean, obviously she can tell I'm American because the way I said, what? What? She's like, American.
Yeah.
And I was just like dumbfounded because I was like, what am I doing? I was like, I'm waiting in line to go to the bar.
Yeah, like, are you literally?
So anyway, she asked for my
funny.
passport. And she's going through it and she goes, what do you do for work? And it's always a question that stumps me because I'm like, how the fuck do I explain my 18 jobs? And I was like, mathematician.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me and goes, okay. And that happens to me all the time. I could be a terrorist if I was just like, I'm a mathematician.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
okay.
you're fine.
You're good.
You can bring
She's
the knife on the
harmless.
plane.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, it really was kind of ego because I knew if I had a math degree, I would be treated a little bit better. And even like I had a meeting yesterday where one of the guys was trying to tell one of the engineers, like, don't worry, you can talk science with her. She has a math degree or something like that. And I was like, bro, I haven't been in school in so long.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like, I don't know if I could like really go head to head with this guy.
Yeah.
But he mostly talked, so it didn't matter. But it's just interesting that like, I wish I did physics because at least if you're doing the math, there's like habitable worlds and like fun stuff. Where
Yeah,
like,
to offset just your math crap.
just like a picture.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
Color.
Exactly.
Like,
No, that's
you
the
know?
thing. The astronomy course I took, there was some math involved, but like nothing crazy. And you're like, okay, cool. I see how this applies to all of the shit that
You
I
see
already
how it
know.
applies.
Yeah, and that's super useful.
We didn't have that.
Yeah, no, when it's math, it sounds like it'd just be more arbitrary versus like applicable to what you experience in the world.
Oh, I remember making a model trying to figure out how rabbits would reproduce. It was
That sounds like what shit we did in my bio class.
It was like
except for cells.
It was 2 weeks of because you have to compensate for like their death rate, and also some of them have but some have boys and some have girls and some like you had to create a model that like encompassed reality.
So many variables. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had to like make it kind of exponential, which was the trick part of it. And I was just like, and it was like if you did not come out to this many bunnies. You're an idiot. And I was just like,
that's hilarious. Like something so technical, and you're like bunnies.
It was
That's amazing.
It was like 1.196 million bunnies, and I was like, I have like 2 extra.
Yeah,
I'm like, just kill them.
Just
I don't know where they came from. Just take them out.
Hilarious. I don't advocate for animal hurt, but that is hilarious.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm gonna get an
bunnies.
F. I gotta kill 2 bunnies.
I'm like,
just so I get an A. That's
dysentery.
hilarious.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Dysentery. That's right.
So that was math school.
To backtrack what you said about like having to tell her mathematician, do you see, because I feel that way, and part of it is being a woman, especially like, let's say I'm speaking on my behalf, with the way I look and what I do pursuing entertainment, I always assume people see me and think maybe I'm kind of dumb. And then I'm like, oh, but I have an interest in physics and astronomy, and now I'm getting a degree. And like when they actually get to know that part, and then it's like a shift in response, right?
Are you wearing your glasses in these conversations or no?
Sometimes not. And then that does make a difference. That's another variable to throw into the shit. And maybe I get a little more credit because I'm Indian and they know like Asians and Indians
Engineer
tend to
or
be
doctor.
on the smarter side.
Yeah.
But or like at least try to achieve that. But I kind of wonder though, we lead with that first because we're trying to protect, like, don't treat me like an idiot. We have to nip that in the bud right away.
Yeah.
So do you feel that way too?
No, because I'm like, I think the way that I like manage myself is just very Northeast. I just think I'm very Northeast. And so if I was in the Northeast, I might be doing that because everybody else is
Everyone
intense
else
like
is
me.
matching that.
Right. And so like my energy means nothing to them because it's the same. But here in LA, no, I walk right over people. So like, sorry, but it's true. Like the Northeast is so aggressive and so confident and cocky and like vocal and decisive. And in the West, they're very like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
totally.
Like getting in line at a coffee shop and not knowing what you want just makes me want to blow the whole building up. I'm like, this because like,
With Starbucks.
what do you mean?
Blow the Starbucks
You
up.
don't know what you want.
Like,
So I think because of the personality traits here, I never have to worry about it.
Gotcha.
But if I'm on a call with somebody who's like from the East Coast, I'm a little bit more like that.
Aware, cognizant of that.
Yeah, because my personality means nothing to them.
Yeah.
I could be a dipshit and still act like this.
No, leave that in there. Leave it in for the edit.
It's an omen.
No, No. Book 1 is going down the drain.
Wes Anderson.
Leave that in there, girl. They gotta
Okay.
see shit that gets fucked up. Actually, it's the
Behind
first time
the
that's ever
scenes.
happened. A ghost. Speaking of ghosts. Okay, no, but that's totally fair. I just I recall it being such a big deal when I was on tour for Wheel of Fortune because yes, I was playing the Vanna character, and so my only job was to be on stage and be pretty. So there were people who when they would introduce me would have to make it a point to be like, and she also does this. And then in cities where it wasn't our host person really introducing, their local news anchor wanted to host or introduce the show, this one guy, I forgot where we were, but he's like, she's pretty and smart.
Ugh,
so there's
Jesus
still
Christ.
such a divide of what you physically look like versus
Imagine
and
if
how
you were
that
blonde.
and I added some too. It's partly harder to see in this camera.
Oh, I
but
mean
yeah, full on.
legally
I know.
blonde. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just like in Legally Blonde, comes off like such a dipshit, but it's
she's
actually
not.
very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a good
Yeah.
example of that movie of, you
love
can be
that
both,
movie.
guys. God forbid.
I love that scene in the beginning where when he's breaking up with her and she's like, everybody likes me. And he's in the car and he just goes, East Coast people are different. And there's no follow-up.
Facts.
I'm like, that is true.
Yeah.
She is an idiot to them for
Yeah,
sure.
totally, 'cause-
Even if she had a Harvard degree,
Yeah.
they'd still be like,
With that personality type.
Yeah.
Very typical, rich LA Beverly Hills type of girl.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
and if she were poor, there'd be a whole other stereotype that went.
Yeah. Oh God.
There's no winning.
There's no winning.
No winning.
No matter what. You could do it all and they're still trying to judge you and tear you down. But I
Yeah.
would never see a hot dude who also happens to be a scientist and be shocked.
I'm shocked when they have personality.
Okay, there you go.
I'm like, whoa, where'd that come
Wow,
from?
Good
Okay.
point.
Because they just
Yeah.
hotted their way through every
through life.
problem. And you're
Pretty
like,
person privilege type of thing. Yeah.
I worked with a dude at TGI Fridays who probably was the most beautiful man I'd ever seen in my life and also
Wow.
empty as a fucking shell of a human being.
Yeah.
If I were super hot, I'd have no personality. I would go out of my way to underdevelop my personality
Really?
just to see how far I could push it.
Yeah.
Be like, how stupid can I be? And
and still be carried through life.
Yeah.
And still be fine and successful. Should we talk about Artemis first? Is there
yeah,
Yeah?
I actually don't know what's been going on with Artemis II.
Yeah.
I only find out at the end of when they've
Mhm.
decided everything because they don't like updating us until they
Mhm.
have everything finalized.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
haven't even been told what dates to book flights for yet by
I
them.
don't think
So
they know. What the last I heard, it's just something at least April.
Yeah.
Is all I know.
the dates I was
So-
given was April 1st, 3 through 6, and then the 30th. And
Okay.
each has a 2-hour window
Gotcha.
at night because
Holy
they're doing
crap,
night
yeah,
launches, which is
totally.
sick. I can't wait to watch
Yeah,
that.
that's
But-
gonna be so cool. Okay, so for people who don't know, which how could you not?
which
'Cause,
is me.
Well, also I haven't been keeping up because I've been burnt out. But Artemis II, the SLS rocket, had to have gotten moved back to its hangar for repairs.
Oh,
So
I didn't know
this
that.
shit-
Okay.
4-mile
Yikes.
trek. It takes 12 hours because it's
Yeah.
going so slowly.
I love that
It's just
footage.
inching along,
Dude,
So-
on Netflix, there's an Apollo 11 and 13. The beginning of both documentaries show the
Mm.
footage of the Saturn V coming out.
Wow.
I get rock hard every time I see that. I'm just like, oh my God. I don't know what it is about transporting
how to
these
respond to
rockets.
that.
There's something about watching that thing move on a platform, on a tank,
Yeah.
that I'm like,
But man, all I keep thinking about are the people who are leading it or driving it, and I'm like, I would die just trying to be that slow and patient.
oh, the guy that's always walking on the side in the front corner who's meandering.
Yeah, you just gotta have some headphones in.
Yeah,
But
what-
yeah, 12 hours over 4 miles. So
Damn.
I started writing shit down for this podcast, guys, so it could be as articulate as possible. So I'm just gonna read you what I wrote.
I like
NASA's
it.
rolling back its Artemis II space launch system moon rocket and Orion spacecraft from launch pad 39B, in case you cared, at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, back into the vehicle assembly building
Ugh,
for repairs. So this
bummer.
already happened on February 25th. We're recording this specific one right now on the 27th. So they began morning of the 25th and it's expected to take 12 hours over a roughly 4-mile trek. And this is because a technical issue was found with the rocket's helium system.
A new one or the
Specifically-
same old one?
Oh, yeah, because it's had that issue before. It's
Yeah.
probably the same old one. Specifically, an interruption in the helium
Damn.
flow in the upper stage. So I think it's the
Okay.
same one.
Okay.
After a recent fueling test, helium is critical for pressurizing propellant tanks, so engineers need to access this area to diagnose and fix it. So it's a big deal. You
but
need to fix that
It's
shit.
just that though, or
Yeah.
is there okay.
As far as I know, it's just that.
Because I could have sworn I saw a tweet where they found something else, and I was like, I don't know if this is
Oh.
legit, but I knew I was coming here, so that's why I was like, well,
Yeah,
she'll
we
correct
can.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have not
Alright.
heard about anything else.
Okay.
Except for this helium thing for a little while now.
Man,
actually.
what a bummer.
Yeah, right. So close. But then better to be safe than sorry. It's not. It's just going to keep getting pushed back because of the rollback and repair work. The planned March 6th launch window is no longer feasible. NASA now expects Artemis II won't launch until at least April. And now you get a little more specifics of the early April or late April launch.
Yeah. And then the Artemis III drama.
What's about that? I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay. So I have some friends who work there.
I'm gonna have a mint.
And they were like, oh yeah, we have been trying to get upper management to be just honest about this. Apparently it's been a huge problem. We're like, no one actually believed Artemis 3 was going to launch next year. I forget when it was scheduled to launch.
Something like 27, 28.
But apparently they were all like, there's no way.
There's no way.
Yeah. And so everybody, I think, was just in denial about it. And then you had the cuts that, the executive branch was ordering. So they really didn't want to, have a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah, so we're actually kind of glad that they're being honest about it now. We can set a realistic time frame.
Totally.
So Artemis 3 will not be going to the moon. It'll just be doing more tests. Artemis
No
4,
way.
yeah, they were like shifting the whole thing back.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was like a lot of drama.
I did not see that coming. So now we're going to have an Artemis 4
that will
to get people to land.
Yeah, I think starting 2028 is when they're hoping to actually do that one. Whoa. So nobody's actually going to be landing on the moon for a couple more years.
Yeah.
At the same time, that's still assuming everything goes right.
Yeah.
And there are no more budget cuts.
Yes.
So
or it's like at a whim every fucking year to see what happens this year with budget cuts, and we got saved this year. But it's not like the budget's great. It's still nothing like it was during the Apollo era. So
adjusted for inflation. But
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I would rather them be honest and have a realistic time frame because all this technology is totally new.
Yeah.
The way we're doing things now is like so new and way more technical, way more data.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the data of like a calculator.
Yeah, seriously.
Like if they had one of our phones in Apollo 13, the whole ship would have been charged.
Yeah.
In like an hour.
Yeah.
It would have been fine.
That's true.
They had like three light bulbs of power. So it's
which
like
is crazy.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way. So I know we've addressed this before, but when people say we lost the technology, no. But why the fuck would you use the same shit from 60 years ago?
Right.
Obviously, we're going to redo it. Obviously, it's going to be redone using reusable stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real here. But here's my thing. I love the ambition, but in this day and age, you do have to be careful with promising things a little too soon. Especially with like PR shit that you're always having to fight. So fair enough. They really thought they could by 2027, get 2028, get people back on the moon. If it gets pushed, we understand that that's totally fine. That's normal.
I mean, because there's really no hurry. It's not like we're actually in a space race. I mean, we are kind of in a space race. That there's
for
like
the moon.
Yeah, there's a lot of political stuff because the laws that we have with the other nations on this planet about space in general is so loosey-goosey. You know what I mean? Like at some point lines are gonna have to be drawn in the sand.
Yeah.
100%. They're gonna have to be. If you have two nations who are at war and they both have stations up on the moon, they could,
Yeah, shit can start
like,
there.
yeah.
Oh my God, all this dick swinging. I
Gross.
recently just posted this week about a Nobel Prize winner who was given the Nobel Prize for figuring out the double helix structure of DNA. And he was seen with photos. He was also just a piece of shit kind of throughout it. And in spite of the Epstein stuff, he essentially stole the data from a woman, Rosalind Franklin. And then he was also kind of pro-eugenics. He was racist against Africans, saying that they were anyone of African descent is less intelligent than everyone else. So
how old is he?
He died last November in his 80s,
Oh,
90s.
So he comes from the era of wake up, old man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Pure,
all right.
yeah, totally.
I was going to say, if he was like 40, I'd be like, yo.
No, he would be done. Yeah, he won the
His
Nobel
career
Prize in like
ended.
1962. Product of his time for sure. But I think even just took it further. Like he was vocal though about his racism towards African descendant intelligence in like 2007. Like this is recent shit that he said.
Whenever that shit happens, I'm like, just die. Just like literally just say nothing, you contribute nothing. Just at this point,
why do you have to vocalize the shit?
Yeah. You could have just
shut
it's
your
like
mouth.
the hockey team. You could have just said nothing.
You could have just
You could have just said nothing.
But this is why, as they say, men aren't lonely enough because they just like they have the privilege of not having to think and just saying shit.
Which actually brings me to my next thing where my mom called me because she was like, I don't want to say which family member, but I have so many family members. I could be talking about anybody. She was like, so-and-so said that the government controls the weather. And she was like, what do I say to that? And so I made a long form video on YouTube breaking down how all of that would work.
Yeah.
And I was like, please send this to insert family member's name. And I don't know if she ever sent it. Because I feel like in that video, I'm not very confrontational. I'm just like legitimately breaking down what the scope of that technology would be. Because I don't think people like... Because, like, one of the things I told my mom is I was like, ask her whoops. Well, now we've like narrowed it down to 50%. So it's a woman. I was like, ask her what wind is. Where does it come from? Ask her if she even knows where wind comes from.
Yeah.
How can you make such an outrageous claim and not even know like where wind comes from?
Dunning-Kruger.
Honestly, I do crash out sometimes because I'm like, I don't even know how to start answering this.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're missing so much information. You don't know where weather comes from, which is the sun, by the way. And so that's why I was like, okay, so if we look at it that way, as the weather comes from the sun, in order to control the weather, we would have to be equal in power to the sun.
Right.
Okay, so let's start with that.
Yeah.
And then our energy sources are fossil fuel, which is combustion. Not super great, right? You can only put so many chemicals together to get something to happen. And then you have renewable, which is like pretty decent, but also the oomph isn't there. And then nuclear. That's like our most power. That's why we have nuclear bombs. And like nuclear is the best we can do. You can't drop bombs to alter a hurricane because we don't, a hurricane has more energy output than a bomb.
Right.
And if that is the max output we can harness, how are we controlling the weather? How are we you tell me how we're doing it then.
They don't seem to understand the scale.
And also, too, they do the whole, like, well, the government just kind of like, do you know how stupid the government? I worked for the government for like a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you knew what happens behind the curtain, you'd be like, yo, the people who are smart are the contractors. They are smart.
Yeah, it's not the government.
It's not the government. It's
that's
who
a
they
good point. That's the
contract.
contractors. Yeah.
Yeah.
They believe everything conspiratorial these days. Everything that's like somehow anti-government because they're all keeping secrets from us and shit. Remember on Strange and Suspicious we talked about chemtrails also?
Oh my God.
Everyone on social media thinks it's a thing.
Yeah.
Although, but then, you know,
cloud seeding can kind of look like that, though. I kind of get that part, but the chemtrail thing, I was like,
oh, yeah.
That's high altitude.
I mean, yeah, cloud seeding. Projects that release substances like silver iodide or salt particles into clouds to encourage rain or snow.
Yeah.
So, like, the clouds have to be there already.
Right. That's a thing that I'm like,
they're not creating a cloud.
Right.
They have to be there in order to rain.
There's
so
debate if it's even working.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, you can have all of these industries like NASA, NOAA, EPA verify that chemtrails isn't a thing. But because they are also government entities, like, no one's going to believe
trust
that.
them.
Yeah.
Right.
But, like,
Yeah.
we know that they're just condensation trails, right?
Condensation.
Condensation.
Yes. I was like, wait.
Family Guy. We got one in.
No,
I love that one.
Condensation.
Condensation. They had a couple of condensation references in that show. So we know condensation trails, which form from... I'm still eating this mint, y'all. Okay, I'm done. Which form when hot exhaust from jet engines mixes with cold, humid air at high altitudes. The water vapor in the exhaust freezes into tiny ice crystals, creating the streaks that we see. So there's literally been no evidence that a chemtrail exists. But, like, they're not going to believe you, so it's why even bother?
I think that this family member does respect my intelligence enough to listen, which puts pressure on me to be like, oh, I have to say
make
this
sure,
just right, because I might be the only way in to like create some logic here. And so the route that I picked in this video is I always try to go as far out as I possibly can because I feel like those are the best approaches where people don't feel as attacked. So I started with in 2015 when Elon Musk had said, let's bomb Mars, where he was like, let's just nuke the poles and see how much water vapor we can get out of them, see how much goes into the atmosphere, and see if that creates a little atmosphere. The problem is, right, Mars doesn't have much of magnetic field, protection, right? So eventually the atmosphere would be incinerated, but the amount of data we would get from that would be so valuable because it would help us understand terraforming. Yeah. Which if you can terraform Mars, you can terraform Earth, you can terraform Venus, you can terraform anywhere. Sure. To me, Mars is such like a fucking stick in the sand. Like, I'm so sick
why do you
of Mars.
hate Mars?
I hate Mars.
Why did Mars hurt you?
I just think it's like I think it's the worst long-term decision that we could possibly make. I think the moon is the next best one, and then fucking Venus.
I know some people are on the Venus because it already has an atmosphere.
And magnetic fields.
I was like, I don't know how to respond to that.
And the atmospheric pressure is identical. If you go, I think it's 60 kilometers up. Atmospheric pressure is the same. Temperature is the same. The magnetic field is there protecting you, so that's excellent. That is a game changer when it comes to colonizing any other planet. Yeah, the only problem is you'd have to stay afloat the whole time, which we can do that. We do that here.
Yeah, we can just live in the clouds or something.
It's just about setting up that first base is the hardest because then everything can just land on it.
Yeah.
So
there's a big argument for Venus because it's easier to kind of like reduce an atmosphere than it is to build ones. But
There's
and
nothing
then,
on Mars to work with.
yeah,
I
there's
just don't
and the magnetic
understand.
field.
And
Yeah.
it's farther, like Venus is closer. We can
Yeah.
make more trips to Venus faster.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, in the short run, it is the hardest choice
Mhm.
because it's the most dramatic, like,
Mhm.
landing we'd have to pull off
Mhm.
because you're coming in hot and then you have to stop. I get that.
Mm.
But in the long run, it's the best choice. It's the easiest one because
Mhm.
it's like, well, now we're here. Well,
Yeah.
you could have suits that are like this, that are like spandex. You just
Mm.
need to have the oxygen.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? As opposed to Mars, where it's like you have all these atmospheric problems, you're going to get incinerated, you're going to get cancer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's only 2 launch windows every few years.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
It's a long ass trip.
I hate
We're
Mars.
gonna
Let's
have
nuke it.
That's
I'm
so
like,
funny.
nuke it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mars.
I'm totally
I don't
on it.
hate you.
And the data from all of that would be invaluable. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so I tried to tell this family member, if Elon Musk, I think second richest man on earth or whatever, is suggesting this outrageous thing, which would be a waste of his resources
Mhm.
because it wouldn't work, right? And I
Mhm.
think he kind of knows that. You know, if he wants to do it as an experiment, why would he do it as an experiment if we can already do it here? It makes no sense.
Right.
And this is the richest guy going out of his way to propose something nobody even
Yeah.
cares about.
Yeah.
Come on, we're not
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
If terraforming on Earth was happening as in
a good
controlling the
point.
weather,
Yeah.
he's gonna know something about it.
Right.
At the very least, someone's using his technology.
Yeah. It's so outlandish. I don't think people realize actual scientific and technological limitations that we still are dealing with in the
No.
world.
No.
Like controlling the weather manipulation around the world. I know
Would be cool.
Would be cool. And like
Yeah.
inevitably, of course,
Yeah.
governments would love that power.
Oh,
we're
they
just not there yet.
They wouldn't be
Yeah.
destroying their own homes in like
No.
Miami or wherever
No.
every time a hurricane comes by.
But it's just
You know?
it's its own another way to kind of deflect anthropogenic climate change. It's just like
That-
what,
That's the other thing I had to break down was
Yeah.
the differences between those two. Because like
Yeah.
even in the video, I was like, this is not about climate.
Yeah.
This video is not about climate.
Yeah.
Climate is the long-term
This is
version.
long-term.
We can do that because
Yeah.
it's about slow incremental changes over time. It's much easier to influence that. I was talking about like stopping a tornado.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
outright, Or
totally.
like a hurricane in next week's forecast.
No, but people they conflate
know?
the two a lot. I see it in comments. They're
Yeah.
like, this one guy, my God, I don't even remember whose video it was. I don't think it was mine. Anyway, but he was like, I've been around for a while, probably in the 60s.
Love that.
And like I've seen or not seen this and that. I'm like, are you fucking trying to say weather is the same as climate? But we're still at that kind of
Yeah.
like level of education where people aren't thinking there's a difference, which is nuts. Why it's so hard to accept the fact that we are having an impact on our climate is beyond me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but not enough to change a tornado tomorrow. Like there's so much nuance there, and people are just like not. And then they always think of cloud seeding,
yeah.
and I'm like, cloud seeding is influence, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
working. It's not like
Right.
because when I imagine controlling the weather, I imagine like a thermostat,
Mhm.
right? We're like, ooh, it's kind of hot today. Let's turn it
Yeah,
down.
yeah, exactly.
That's control.
That's control.
I do think someday we might be able to, like in the movie Twisters,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something with a tornado.
Sure.
Maybe we can like
Yeah, because it's like this isolated object.
Yeah, and it's like smaller. It's a much smaller scale than
Mhm.
hurricanes. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
I think people really underestimate how big
A
hurricanes
hurricane
are.
is, yeah.
They're next level or a monsoon or something.
Yeah.
But the Twister one was fascinating to me because I actually really started to research it, and I was like, all right, the silver iodide to get the moisture out of the way. That would be a good first step. That actually, I'm kind of glad they put that in the movie. And then this, what is it, sodium polyacrylate or something? It's a polymer. That
think I
also
wrote it
kind of
down.
makes sense because like you're choking a tornado. But the
Mm.
problem for me was that you'd have to do it from the bottom because of how the pressure systems work. And then like, okay, so every time there's a tornado, you're gonna pay somebody to OSHA violation, like to drive through
Yeah.
a tornado, and when they last on average 10 minutes, I think, on the ground.
Yeah, they're not super long. I
And
mean,
it-
at that
you
point,
know?
too, maybe you could just use AI to drive a little, whatever the fuck. Get these little
Oh, that's a
food
good
deli-
point.
Yeah,
A Waymo.
You could get a Waymo.
the Jaguar just goes straight into a
Ooh.
tornado.
Yeah, for real. It'll be like
That's
the
a good
original
point.
Twister.
Okay,
Yeah, you
no,
could
that's a
probably
good
do
point.
it
They would-
autonomously or
Why didn't they do that in the movie?
maybe they just weren't thinking that far ahead. Normally when shit shoots versus when it comes out, like
Was
it's-
AI
it's-
a thing back then? No, in
No,
2023
girl.
when they filmed it.
Yeah, it wasn't a big
Okay.
thing. Like we weren't seeing as many. I maybe saw a
True.
couple of Waymos, less food, little food delivery guys. Put a few of them there.
Yeah.
They're like going towards the tornado. My heart would break. Little
Okay.
Abraham and whatever names they give themselves.
Valid.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about
so
that.
it's possible.
The spirit behind it, though, I'm kind of like, there must be an element of removing moisture.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and we have so many ways to do it. And also, too, if we're talking about something isolated, if you do take heavy stuff and you're able to get it into the air, it would just fall back down. You can pick it up. I don't know. I'm like, there must be a way to do tornadoes that
I'm sure
isn't
there
like,
is. Yeah,
but a hurricane.
A hurricane,
I'm just
yeah, I
like,
can imagine the scale of that.
guys,
Like you said, when you see those
you
images
know?
from space, and like how much of the earth they're
It's the
encompassing.
size of like North America,
Yeah, it's
you know?
crazy.
You're like,
Where the fuck are you gonna drop some salt into that shit? Like,
yeah, people.
let's be real. And it already goes over oceans. It's picking up salt and it's not doing
Yeah.
shit. So
And it's fuel
yeah.
from the ocean. And then,
Yeah.
like, okay, if it's fuel from the ocean, you go to the source to suffocate the ocean. Like, dude,
Yeah.
even messing with 1 degree Celsius in the ocean wreaks havoc.
Yeah.
So it's like we couldn't even be trusted to do that.
No, we'd fuck it up even more.
So-
probably. I know also the issue with tornadoes, and like a lot of people suffer to this day because the warning systems are still slow.
They're garbage.
And so like
Yeah.
you're getting notified as it's happening. So when is there even the moment for like a Waymo, let's say, to come out and drive and try to dissipate it? It's gone by then. So the damage is already done
Yeah,
because of how quick they are.
they'd have to be
So,
airborne.
Yeah. And like they have stations everywhere anticipating one
Yeah.
coming in like the tornado belt area.
Well, then you have the problem. It's not even going to reach the tornado because it's
Yeah.
too light, and you need it to be
Yeah.
heavy enough, which is the problem from the first Twister movie. And then every tornado is different.
Yeah.
You know, like an EF1 is very different from a 5.
Yeah.
There was one more other element that this person in my family had brought up. Yeah, where the energy would go. And knowing all of the variables to control that. Because I love chaos theory. Chaos theory is
Yeah.
like one of my favorite.
Mhm.
It's essentially predicting the future. It's a branch of mathematics that studies dynamic systems, which the weather is.
Yeah.
Right? One little change and you have a completely different system,
Mm.
pressure system, like, you know, I don't know, on the other side of North America a week later. Very sensitive to initial change, to initial conditions. And I was like, okay, if we had sensors on a 3D space, if we had like 5 in here,
Mm.
I mean like in a 3D space, not just up against the wall, like filling the room, and you had that en masse across the entire planet, and then the entire planet ran under a single program. It would have to be a single program,
Sure.
right? All the data has to be fed to one source so that it can read the data. You wouldn't need to crack chaos theory, actually, because you'd have every
You have the
molecule.
data. Yeah.
But the amount of computing power that
Yeah, I
would
couldn't-
require,
couldn't imagine.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just for me to create a program to predict how many bunnies are going to be born, like almost made my computer crash out, right? And I'm like, and you want to talk about tracking every molecule?
Yeah, no shit.
Or 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
But to get a perfect forecast, you'd have to have every single one.
yeah.
A perfect forecast. If we do manage to find a way to have better energy source to fuel AI,
Mm.
we might be able to hone in on forecasts and get them down to like 2 weeks of being perfectly accurate. Because I
Mhm.
know that weather goes out 2 weeks, but in the Northeast, that shit doesn't mean anything.
Right.
2 weeks doesn't matter, but I do think that could get better. But
Mhm.
again, that's not control. It's just
No.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like,
Control implies like intent. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna send this tornado to our adversary across the ocean.
yeah.
And like just somehow form clouds in a desert that
Right.
never happens, you know?
What's
and
that
like,
movie? Geostorm?
Oh, I never saw it.
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
Oh God, I love that movie. Okay, I love trash. So
Oh no, I love doom like disaster shit.
you should watch that one. It's
Okay.
super, super
I'm
fun. It's
down.
Gerard Butler, who's like the king of disaster movies.
Wait, did I see it?
You must have. So his brother works for the government, and like the thing that protects the entire planet and controls all the weather breaks down, and
Oh,
they
I
send
guess
Gerard
I
Butler up
didn't.
in a
I
spaceship.
didn't. I
It's sick.
should.
But anyway, what I did like about that was that the idea behind that is that we're not controlling the weather in like isolated regions. We're just
Mhm.
controlling the whole planet. This would be like
Yeah.
ultimate terraforming.
Yeah.
Building a structure around the earth that wasn't getting wrecked by lightning and solar flares and I don't know, whatever. But like, let's say all that was fine.
Mhm.
You know, you have a storm, so you drop certain materials, but then you have all this chemical downfall. I don't know. I was just like, maybe if there's a blanket around the entire planet like that,
Yeah, totally.
that would be easier.
So you have this thing all around the earth, but then you have to have like a Skynet to catch all the crap.
With
So,
material. Well,
yeah.
that was the thing, is this was like a literal net.
Wow.
Yeah, it was material. It wasn't
Okay.
like a digital apparatus. It was
Yeah.
like material.
Yeah.
So when a monsoon popped over here, like they dropped some kind of polymer or whatever it was to like
Yeah.
absorb it. And then if they needed some area to be cool, they could like open the ozone layer and like rush in cold air
Holy shit.
or intensify it with heat with mirrors. I was like,
Yeah.
mirrors, actually, you could probably do that.
Yeah.
You could probably
yeah.
get an
With-
area hotter
Yeah, right.
with mirrors.
That doesn't, yeah, that's a good point. I think hotter would
maybe
be easier.
Maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
Cold is tough.
Yeah.
Without
Cooling a place.
wreaking
yeah.
havoc.
Yeah.
We don't mind, but you should watch that movie. It is
Yeah.
super fun.
I love disaster films. They're my favorite genre.
Oh, it opens up with
Yeah.
a disaster. Which
Amazing.
is so fun. It's just-
Independence Day, Armageddon.
You would love
all of
Geostorm
these,
then.
Love them.